Hello, welcome back to Sports Talk in the Burgh. I'm your host, Carter Dunlap, and here with me today are our exuberant panelists, the interesting Josh Woodman, the goofy Kevin Plaucha, and the inspirational Colby Sherwin. It's been quite the week for sports in Pittsburgh, and there's a lot to talk about. A big issue in the NFL right now are the referees. They continue to not be consistent and sometimes blatantly make the wrong calls. After the Steeler game on Sunday, Deontay Johnson said straight to the media that the refs pretty much blew the game for the Steelers. Josh, how would you fix issues with the bad refs in the NFL?
Well, where do we begin?
There's a lot of places, really.
Yeah, I mean, the refs, they're always shoddy, but, I mean, I think the one way I could fix it is adding an automatic review system that can be implemented that where every call immediately goes to New York, they will decide, and there's so many breaks.
That's a lot of going to New York.
Here's my issue with that.
But there's too many problems.
Here's my issue with that.
I wanted to say, the Steelers did not lose because of the refs.
Well, yeah,
Deontay
that's
Johnson's
a different story.
blatantly
That's
wrong.
a different story.
But there are bad refs in the NFL.
There are bad refs
every
but
week.
I wanted to go back to the challenging that they had in the 2019-2020 season after the Rams literally had the NFC Championship handed to them. They implemented during pass interference you have a challenge. What I thought is during each half, one penalty can be challenged. This allows you to have that going back and forth. And then for downs and out of bounds, put a sensor in the ball in the cleats of the player. That way you can see exactly if they got past the down.
But then what happens? Well, I'm sorry, Kev. But what happens though if they do exactly what you just said, and then you lose your challenge? Are you just done?
Timeout. It's like a normal challenge.
Here's the problem.
So then you can't challenge again?
Yeah, it's a literal challenge.
Listen, no matter what we're going to do, nothing is ever going to change unless these leagues start holding people accountable. We've seen this before. That statistics are now starting to point out how bad these referees and umpires are in other sports, in baseball and hockey. We've seen this on plenty on social media. But now in the NFL, you're never going to get anything to change if you add an automatic review system. It's going to take forever. It's going to extend games longer than they already are. It's never going to change unless you hold people accountable. And I think the NFL, they're never going to do that because that's too much work for them, and they don't care. All they care about is making the money. So bad call or not, they don't care. They're never going to hold anyone accountable. I don't know how you fix the bad refs.
All right, I think the refs are just never going to be good. Human error is always a thing. So the NFL trade deadline came to an end last night, and it was filled with a good bit of surprises. Colby, what trade surprised you the most?
Yeah, the Commanders just blew it all up out of nowhere, but they traded Chase Young to the 49ers for a third-round pick.
I feel bad.
You just got to go.
I feel bad for the NFC.
The NFC is going to get killed. So now Chase Young, Nick Bosa, and Fred Warner are all three on the same defense.
That's if he can stay healthy, though. There's
If
no
any of them
guarantee.
can stay healthy.
You're only risking a third to do that.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not saying it's a bad trade.
How
I'm
are
just saying
you
Young.
going to block that? There's no offensive line in the league. Maybe Philadelphia can hold off two of the three.
Sure.
But all three at the same time have to be stopped if you're going to get a running game going and if your quarterback's going to be able to pass the ball. I think John Lynch did phenomenal with the Niners. They're going to win the Super Bowl.
Well, I'll go over to the AFC. I think, AFC dishing out one of their guys. The NFC, the Eagles strengthened their team. I think Kevin Byard is a great pick because
it didn't even take that. It didn't even cost anything.
No, it didn't. And they upgraded. They upgraded a huge part because they identified that they got pretty much cooked by Tyreek Hill when they played the Dolphins.
Yes,
they identified that Terrell Edmonds, RX Steeler, is a weakness.
Could have told you that one.
And so they went and they identified the problem. They fixed it right away. Boom. It's just quick, easy, helpful.
The Bills
trade.
also identified a problem as they got Rasul Douglas from the Packers. You know, his production's been solid in 2023, putting him in the top 20 cornerbacks with his defensive production. He has just one interception this year, but 15 in his career. Now, the reason why it's most surprising to me is because we just don't see the Packers ever doing this very often. They're always competitive. They're always seemingly a shoe-in to win the NFC North, and now they're currently 2-5, have tons of questions, and just gave up another veteran piece. I mean, when was the last time they did this? So it's not their Packers are never bad very often, which is why it's surprising to me.
Let's not forget about my guy Josh Dobbs getting traded to the Vikings. So last night, Josh McDaniels, the Raiders head coach, was fired. There are plenty of other NFL coaches on the hot seat. Kevin, who is the next head coach in the NFL to be fired?
Colby, I was hoping you weren't going to steal my thunder completely when you mentioned Ron Rivera, because I think he's next. I really do. This is year 4.
Yeah.
And he's 25-32-1. I'm honestly surprised that his record is that good. The Commanders have been incredibly mediocre since he took
Do
over.
you remember last year when he didn't know they could be eliminated?
Yeah, he didn't even
How
know
does
they
that
could be
happen?
eliminated. The head coach of your football team didn't know
know.
that your team could make the playoffs.
That's crazy.
But this season looks to be their worst by far. It looks like the franchise's new ownership group, since, thank God, they got away from Dan Snyder, they're absolutely looking toward the future, as we mentioned with Montez Sweat and Chase Young
Yeah. It
both
won't
being
be
traded.
long.
I'm
It
going to
won't be
stay
long
in
till he's
Washington
gone.
with you.
Rivera has even less firepower,
Yeah.
and now he's coaching for his job. There's no way he comes back next year.
I'm going to
There's
stay with a former Washington coach. Matt LaFleur's got to go. Their Packers are 2-5, constantly letting players walk all over him. Aaron Rodgers had him like a dog on a leash when he was there.
That's true.
144 points for them, which is 22nd in the league, 287 yards per game and 20 points per game. This isn't the Packers. Jordan Love looks like a puppy out there. He has no idea what he's doing. It's been an absolute disaster and a tire fire since Aaron Rodgers left. Matt LaFleur's lost the locker room. He's got to go.
I'll stay in the division. I think Matt Eberflus is going to be next to go.
He'll probably get
If
fired
they're-
tomorrow.
I
personally.
mean, what's the first thing you do when there's a house burning down? You toss out probably the guy who's in charge, okay? That doesn't really make sense. But to be honest, Matt Eberflus as a head coach doesn't either, because he is just terrible. They'd have no progress. You
Never
get that.
utilize Justin Fields.
Exactly. How do you have a running quarterback, a quarterback who put up 1,000 yards last season, and you only have 3 scheme plays that I've seen that where you running back or your quarterback runs? It's just weird.
Maddening.
After the Commanders traded both their starting edge rushers, I could definitely see Ron Rivera getting fired next. Ever since Nike has taken over making the uniforms for every NBA team in 2017, they have made a city edition jersey for each team to connect the teams to where they are located. Colby, what are the best and worst city edition jerseys in the NBA this season?
Yeah, well, I feel like it's an unpopular opinion,
The
but
Chicago Bulls.
no.
Oh.
Staying in the division, I like the Indiana Pacers. It's like a blue jersey with the yellow Indy on it. It's got a little of the little car factor. I thought it looked nice, and it works with the Pacers. And looking at how their court's going to look for the NBA Cup, which will be later in the show, I think it looks phenomenal. And then the worst
So
is
it's
the
like
Nets.
their normal jerseys.
I don't
The Nets
like
is
it.
terrible because it looks like you gave a toddler a spray paint bottle and like 50 pixie sticks and
I
told
don't
him
like
to
the
go.
I don't like
It's
the
terrible.
Indy jersey. The Indy font is just way too big.
But
on,
it's a
on the,
fun
I think it's a cool idea because
it
of like the
works.
whole Indianapolis.
Sure, and
yeah.
and listen, if we go through all 30 of these, I mean, there are plenty. The Denver Nuggets has a big 5,280.
That was
on it.
weird.
I think the worst by far are the Lakers. I
Really?
hate that Los Angeles triangle
It's
design.
like
I
that
like-
over-
kinda
it's
like
a throwback to their first
I know.
ever jersey.
Yeah, but it doesn't work and it looks
that's
bad.
fair.
So it's like don't go back to something that is no one remembers.
Let's
Listen,
be
for
completely
me-
honest. Nike has dropped the ball completely with the city jerseys.
Absolutely.
I think it's time to
Let's talk
retire.
about another bad one. The Orlando Magic. They're so plain. Listen, they look like a knockoff Mavericks jersey. When I see the Magic jersey, it's like a brighter blue. It shines out and makes it recognizable. I said it just looks like a knockoff Mavericks jersey. It's a dark navy blue, and it just says Orlando on the front. It's nothing special. For me, the best has to be the Suns. The jersey, it's not a bright purple, but the bright color trim and the bright color numbers stick out so well on that like plain purple jersey, and I think it looks so good.
Maybe some NFL teams can pick up the idea of getting some city jerseys. So, the NBA Cup was just announced this summer, and many teams are wanting to win the Cup. Kevin, who is your pick to win the NBA Cup this year?
Yeah, listen, so thinking about this, I just kind of used logic and went by a team that has the least amount of injuries and the team that's least likely to sit all of their good players, right? So I landed on the Boston Celtics. Right now, they have the least amount of injuries, just one minor injury to a bench player maximum. They're currently 3-0. I know, short sample size, but I was a huge fan of the Porzingis trade because I thought they lacked a true big man. Al Horford, but he's in the twilight of his career. Porzingis is averaging 20 and 7 through the first 3 games. I think he can keep that up all year because he's been averaging nearly 20 points per game in every year he's been in the league. And he's been in the league for a while.
I'm going to stop. I think
Josh, no, this is not right.
I think
The
that-
Rockets.
The Rockets.
No. Okay. Let me explain. I think you guys are
do.
looking at it the wrong way.
They're
I think
awful and the
this
worst team in the
format,
league.
this format has been used in European leagues, and looking at how they usually who makes the deeper runs, it's usually the teams that go for it. I mean,
Okay, I'm going to
the
stop
Celtics,
you at your fairy tale. I picked
no.
the Juggernaut and the Warriors are going to win this with ease. He's Steph Curry, Klay Thompson,
No
Draymond
depth,
Green,
Wow,
Chris
no
Paul,
great,
depth.
Andrew
great.
All
Wiggins.
That's-
old
that's
guys.
the
They're
Steve
all
Kerr.
old.
You have
They're
nothing
all
to back
old.
that up with.
The Rockets are nothing.
The Rockets
Rockets
are not going to
terrible.
bench anyone. They're
They
going to
have
see
more
this.
drama than the 2019
They're going to
Steelers do
see
in their
this
locker
as an
room.
opportunity to make a
disagree with
run
that.
and finally win something. The
What?
teams like the Celtics, they're going to be focusing on the big thing, which is the finals.
I
They're gonna
actually,
wanna
I actually
care
understand.
about this
Listen,
NBA
I
Cup.
actually understand that, but I think the Celtics, they're not going to sit any of their big players like these other teams.
I think they have the depth. I just don't think they're going to go for it.
I honestly have no idea what Josh is talking about, but recently the Penguins have been giving up a decent number of goals and are losing more than they should be. Colby, is Tristan Jarry becoming an issue for the Penguins?
Here's what I'll say. Yes and no. At some point, your defense is bad. And I understand the Penguins' defense is one of the worst in the league. But at
Yes,
some
really bad.
point, a goalie's got to make a save. There's just got to be a time. And I know he loves leaving his crease like we see in this. But he's just like, I'm getting frustrated because he's a good goalie. He's been an all-star before. He can be better. The defense has to be better. And also, the contract, a 5x5, Kyle Dubas' worst move he made
Right,
all offseason.
I don't think he's becoming an issue yet because I think there's just so many other things that this
can't
team
score.
doesn't do well. Like Ricard Raquel has 1 point through 9
That's
games.
rough.
He had 60 last year.
That's
he has
rough.
1 through 9 games. And are we seriously going to have to sit here every single week and talk about the Penguins' power play again?
Oh my
it's,
gosh.
It's at 14.8%. And
Just shoot on a
Jarry's-
power play.
Listen, yeah, there's been
Just
way too much
shoot.
standing around. Now, his save percentage, Jarry's save percentage, and goals against average, they're creeping up.
They're
and it
not
doesn't
great.
look good. But there have been times where he's shown flashes of being one of the top 5 goalies in the
He
league.
just shut
I
out
think.
the Avalanche last
Exactly.
week.
I don't understand how you post those two shutouts on
Yeah.
the season
Right.
already, but then also you concede 5 to Ottawa, 4 to the Ducks. It just
That last
I
goal
don't understand
against
his-
Anaheim,
it's
he's
all
got to
it's
make that
last-
save.
It's
He's got to
all
make
about
that.
like, this, that, or the other. I just do think you need it, like you said, you need a goalie to make a save, and the Penguins don't have a goalie
wise
who's shown
man
that they
I
can
think,
shut it down.
I think it's just a part of a bigger problem right now that the Penguins, they're 3-6.
But-
they're just
Yeah,
not good
With
right now.
Tristan Jarry, a wise man once said, if you're a goaltender, tend the goal. Stay in the crease, please.
The Penguins are 3-6, and I don't see anything getting better for them. The Edmonton Oilers and Calgary Flames kick off the first outdoor season game for the NHL this year. We have seen both of these teams play plenty of outdoor games so far. Colby, what teams do you want to play outdoors next this season?
So I've thought of a couple teams who've never played outdoors, and Columbus came right to mind. They're a local team 2 hours away. And I wanted to see the Penguins in it again because, bias towards Penguins. I understand. But Pittsburgh at the Ohio Stadium, 102,000 fit in there every week for the Buckeyes, right by the arena. That would be electric. Sidney Crosby versus Johnny Gaudreau versus Patrick Laine versus Evgeny Malkin. You just got to see that. That atmosphere would be crazy. The two states hate each other. The city's border. It would be amazing.
I think that you got to go with an iconic matchup, one that'll draw viewers, one that'll cause a stir every time it's played. I want to see the Penguins versus the Flyers, but I want to throw them in Beaver Stadium.
Ooh.
That's a packed stadium where there's going to be tons of people there. They always draw attendance for whiteouts and stuff. You know the attendance will be there. But it's a good even distance away. You're going to get fans locally. You're going to get fans from also very far away. I just think throwing them in Beaver really makes this matchup 10 times better.
Sure, and I think that's fine, but the Penguins and Flyers, we've seen them play outdoors plenty of times before. I'm going to go with a little bit of a historical matchup here. Give me the Maple Leafs and the Canadiens.
Ooh.
They've been fierce rivals for nearly a century now. They're 2 of the original 6 teams with 37 combined Stanley Cups, and I think you could put them at the Rogers Center, the home of the Toronto Blue Jays. It's just 5 minutes from where the Maple Leafs play. It's 6 hours from where Montreal is, so it's a little bit of a hike, but it's going to have that really nice historical feel to it. And it would provide an ideal venue for an outdoor game with its retractable roof. So let's go a little bit historical and put 2 Canadian teams
The
together.
issue with you bringing up the Cubs, most of those happened before the league expanded. Those are just 2 teams that have been struggling for
Exactly.
years.
They're
True.
kind of just mid. They're just.
And the Pitt Panthers football has been struggling this year, putting a lot of pressure on the organization. And Pat Narduzzi has been making some very interesting comments recently. Let's take a look.
You lose like you lost today. You had a tough one last week. Why is it? I'll go back. I mean, you, as a football coach, you lose a lot of good players a year ago. You think as a coach you're gonna replace them. We obviously haven't. And again, it starts with me. I didn't do a good enough job coaching today, and put it on me. And we got to make plays. So it just comes down to making plays and doing a better job coaching.
Kevin, what do you have to say about these comments?
So, okay, there's a lot of places we can start.
lot to
I'm
unpack.
gonna preface by saying that the talent level that is produced in the NFL by players that have gone to Pitt, I think Narduzzi sets himself at such a high standard to where he thinks he can get away with saying something like that. Now,
You just
it's
can't
not
say that.
good. Listen,
just
no
can't.
coach should ever say anything like that after you lose by 51 to
Notre
Notre
Dame,
Dame
who you're
and drop to
technically
2
rivals
and
with.
6. Because guess what? There's also guys on this team that you're not using
When's
at
the last
all.
time Gavin Bartholomew was actually
Because
utilized
the
in a
offensive
game
coordinator
plan?
doesn't use the guys that are actually going to help this team score points, which they can't do either. Rodney Hammond Jr., why is he getting out carried by Sebo Flemister? Gavin Bartholomew, why is he getting no targets?
yeah.
Because he's the only one
Look,
that can catch a football.
look,
and
I-
maybe a few of the new freshman recruits. Guess what?
I understand.
It's just a bad thing to say.
I understand he's frustrated. They just got blown the crap out by
Yes.
Notre Dame, and they kicked them up and down the field all game.
did.
They played a good defense game against Sam Hartman. And at the end of the day, these are college kids. You're almost 6 years old. You just can't say that. It's unfair. Like Mike Gundy once said, attack me, I'm 40. Like, that just doesn't work.
I just think it's a whole lot of. I'm taking a more soft approach to it. I think it's just a whole lot of nothing. I think
Okay.
he's kind of in a. It's a dumpster fire there right now. I don't think he
Yeah.
knows
He
exactly
put them
what
in
to
that
do.
dumpster
So
fire,
I
though.
think exactly. So what I think is, I think he just kind of panicked and said something kind of crazy. I don't know. I just.
fair.
Just
I'm
a-
just
it's a
little
weird
bit
comment.
lost.
It's just
It's
It
very
would not
odd.
shock me if a couple of these guys leave.
Or
after
he
the
gets
season.
fired.
Narduzzi might have to be fired after this season. We'll see. And we'll be right back to talk about some important RMU sports playoff news right after these messages.
Thirty. Ten, nine, eight, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to Golden Sports Center. Let's CSC women's basketball.
Found my heart out there in the open. Trees make you feel smaller. Can't help but get lost again. If I need a break, know where I'm going. Where the water's flowing, I'd rather be floating. If it's something that can count on to be free. If it's hopeless,
Feel the beat of nature at a park or forest near you. Find a forest and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org.
All right, welcome back to Sports Talk in the Burgh. RMU men's soccer just pulled off a big win less than an hour ago that could possibly put them into the playoffs. All they need is a tie or for Green Bay to beat Milwaukee. Josh, if RMU ends up making the playoffs, how far do you see them going?
It's not a big if. Well, I mean, who knows? But anyway, if they do get in, I think they got to shore a lot of things up. Coach Potter has used many different variations of a front four on offense. He doesn't exactly have anything set, which I think is okay to do in the regular season, but going in, you need to build some consistency. On top of that, the defense has been shaky. They played all right today. You know, only one, I mean, not giving up a goal to a team higher than you, that's tough. But obviously, I think you need to shore up a lot. They're going in as the lowest seed, and they're going to have to
They're
play the top
most
seed.
likely not going to make it out of the first round. They're going in as the
I would
lowest
agree with
seed.
that.
They struggled to score goals. As you said, their defense was not great. I'd love to see the Gillies get hot again and put some more in the back of the net. But I just feel like there's just missing something this year.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like it's a bad year. In fact,
No,
the
by
opposite.
no means,
I
no.
thought
Right.
they improved a bit. Even though they went down, I thought they improved with all the transfers they had, a coaching change. There was just a lot that happened to this team, and to still make it is honestly impressive if they
Right,
make
but,
it.
you know, the record, they finished about 500 this year.
Yeah.
I think they actually played a lot better than that record would indicate. Now, last year, they lost to Oakland in penalty kicks in the first round.
Yes, they did.
If what we're saying here is that they're going to be eliminated in the first round again. That's unfortunate. But, and Colby, I agree with you. I think they're just missing something a little bit because you need that offensive firepower.
Yeah.
I would say that the pieces are there. It's just now going to be up to Potter to kind of figure out which he
What
wants to
works
do with them,
best.
how he would put them on.
But you don't have much
from that-
time, though. That's
No,
the
no,
thing.
no, no,
Yeah.
no, no, no. By no means. I'm already thinking ahead because
Yeah.
I just think at this point you got to consider how slim the chances are.
If RMU men's soccer makes playoffs, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to pull off a win. We'll see. And women's soccer is actually playing in the semifinals tomorrow. Colby, who do you think is the X factor for women's soccer?
Josh is ready
He's
to
been
go.
waiting
Here.
to
Josh
hear
has
this
been
the
waiting.
entire
yeah.
show.
I think
Need a
Brianna
drum
Murray is going to have to be the X factor. Had 3 saves against Wright State, and she was what they need to win. They haven't beaten Milwaukee at all as a program. And if you're going to do it, just like in hockey, how do you do that? Get saves. It's a momentum changer. It helps you win the game. Brianna Murray.
It's definitely a good choice. Like I mean, she's gonna have to do a lot.
Better
She's
than
tied,
6 goals.
She's tied second most for most goals allowed in this year in the conference. And so I'm just kind of thinking, well, we need someone who can score the goals. And Kaoru
They do
Hayashi,
need someone. They do
She-
need
Josh,
somebody.
great choice.
she is the X factor.
Great choice, Josh.
If anyone watched their game, if any of you two watched their
Wow.
game, I watched it. I was
I
there.
watched
I was
it. We watched
okay. Well,
it.
good because then you would know that she was at the heart of every single goal they scored on Sunday. She had 2 free kick assists. She had another deflected one go in, credited to her own goal.
Yep.
So she is going to be at the heart of everything. She's been there 2 years, I think, and also just a workhorse. The coach called her a
Absolutely.
workhorse.
She's third on the points. She's third on the team in points with 16. She leads the team with 8 assists. I mean, how can she not be the X factor? You need someone to facilitate and get it to the players that you know are going to be able to score. She assisted Haley Finale in scoring what would put them ahead, made them up 2-1, and she has the talent to score herself. So she made it 4-1. Josh, I completely agree with you. I think she's definitely the X factor. Good choice.
Josh
Thank
shouldn't
you,
kill me.
thank you.
I'm going to have to agree with Kevin and Josh on that one. But with the women's soccer team making it to the Horizon League playoffs, some may say it has been a successful season for them. Kevin, how would you grade women's soccer season so far?
I give them an A.
Yeah.
I mean, 12-4-3, had a 5-0 start, a 6-0-1 start. They continued to fight on and not really give up despite a couple of those close conference losses.
Because it wasn't like last year. I'm giving you them
to
an A as
IUPUI.
well.
They lost to IUPUI
Yeah.
and Northern Kentucky, both 1-0.
Well,
those are some tough,
Last
demoralizing
year they
losses.
started out really hot and then it kind of tapered
This is
off.
true.
And it kind of ended without making the playoffs.
The,
so
the
this
biggest,
year,
the biggest difference, though, is the conference record.
Yes.
They went 1-7-2 in conference last year. This year, 5-4-1.
I
So
think
it was a huge jump.
Melina
It
Kearns
was an
huge
amazing
in her
season.
sophomore
And that's
year.
why I'm going to give them an A too, because I also think that this season completed a lot more for them, other than just kind of going through the progressions of building a team. I think you had a lot of young players come in this year, mixed in with a lot of veterans who have been here for a while. And I think bringing them together, you generate a great thing, and it's going to open up a lot more for the coming years for these youngsters to break in.
The jump from the NEC to the Horizon League was so large, and I think a lot of programs were affected that weren't really looked into when that decision was made. So to see the women's soccer team take such a step up, it's really great. This is how you build a program. This is how you continue, and this is how you ultimately make the NCAA tournament and beyond that. So
absolutely.
again, A+, great.
And a lot of that
coaching.
goes to Coach Shaw. Coach
Exactly.
Shaw
Oh, my
has
goodness.
been here
Phenomenal.
He's
for a
been
long
here
time.
for a long
he
time.
stayed
He's been here
through-
through all
He
of it.
stayed through it, and now it's working, and that
Yeah.
shows why you trust the process, maybe,
exactly.
and you let him build because it's clearly working.
Right, instead of just going through the progressions to improve, guess what? They improved so much, and it's awesome to see.
Yes.
I'd have to give them an A+ too. What they've done so far this season has been nothing short of fantastic. So RMU women's soccer is playing Milwaukee tomorrow in the semifinals game, and it is looking like it's going to be a dogfight. Josh, who do you got, RMU or Milwaukee?
Well, I'm going to be faithful to the viewers watching this and faithful to everyone. I'm going to still stick with RMU.
Yeah.
Although I would have to admit I can't sit here with a
That doesn't
chest.
say, that
Yeah,
doesn't
wait,
say
what's going on
RMU.
here?
That says Milwaukee.
Well, so
not faithful.
Let me
Wait a minute.
explain. Let me explain.
He's
Wait.
He's
So
a
let me explain.
phony.
Okay, so I can't sit here and say with a full chest that they're going to. Last time they played, they lost 3-0.
They lost 3-0.
And it was at the same venue it's going to be tomorrow night.
Sure.
I'm not expecting anything crazy. I'm
Hear
not
me out.
expecting to
Hear
go
me
in
out.
there. I
At
think
some
you got to
point,
keep it tight.
David's got to beat Goliath. They're 0-6 all time. Give me the Colonials. Shock the world, get to the finals, and you know what? They're going to win the Horizon League finals and go to the tournament.
Listen, I think this team's going to come out really fast. And they are absolutely hungry for this.
They're on
Like, they
fire.
want this more than anything.
I hope they do, but they have historically in the last season they have not started out hot. They have
that's
come out
fine.
slow. And if you concede first to this Milwaukee team, I hate to say it,
you're
but
out.
I think,
It's gonna be tough.
I
Yeah,
think
I
you're
understand.
done.
That's
because
where it
there's
goes
just
back to
no
Brianna
way.
Murray having to have
But have they played?
game
But
of
have
their
they played?
life.
Have they played Milwaukee with a game that has had such high stakes as this one? I don't think so.
No. I think another thing that benefits is Milwaukee had a bye, so that's
Yeah,
a week of not
exactly.
playing. And as a player, I know having a week off is a bit different. You know, you're going to have to get back into the groove. I do think, though, Milwaukee has probably.
And,
the
but
Shock the
RMU,
world,
RMU looks
Colonials.
so good against Wright State. I think they continue the momentum and they beat Milwaukee.
I'm going to have a talk with that snake Josh over there. And we'll be right back to get these guys' final takes right after this short break.
Do you want to meet a family with a transgender kid? Here we are. Max loves to do backflips. Max loves to play his ukulele. Max loves to just be a kid and just be himself. When I found out I was pregnant, all I really wanted was a happy, healthy, whole child. And that's what I got. I think it's really important for people to know that trans kids don't have a political agenda. They are just kids. Like any parent, we love our kids unconditionally, and we will never stop fighting for them. Stand with us. Protect our families.
Wait! Not in the toilet!
No, don't do that. No.
Don't hit your brother! Oh!
Not again.
What did I tell you about playing in the mud?
Raffy, not so close to the pool. Wait! Frankie, happy. What are you doing?
We told you never to touch the gun!
I'm sorry, I didn't think it was that big of a
You
deal.
could have hurt yourself!
Safely store your guns, unload, lock, and away from ammo.
All right. Welcome back to Sports Talk in the Burgh. We're going to dive into some hot takes. Colby, start us off.
Adam Johnson. Remember his name, Adam Johnson. Tragically passed away on Sunday in a freak accident while on the ice playing for the Nottingham Panthers. He was skating down the ice when a player from the other team fell and his skate accidentally slashed Johnson's neck, resulting in a fatal injury. Before I share my thoughts on how to solve this problem, please don't share the video on social media. Take a moment to imagine if you had a family member who had passed away, then their tragic moment was shared all over social media. Let's consider the feelings and the privacy of the Johnson family before sharing any content related to this unfortunate event. But in my view, it is imperative that both the NCAA and the NHL fulfill their responsibility to safeguard their players by making neck guards mandatory following this incident. The English Hockey League has already taken steps to make the neck guards mandatory, and Hockey Canada also includes this in their players' regulation. These neck guards don't have to be bulky like worn by goalies. They can be streamlined and comfortable. Some NHL players already wear Bauer clothing with Kevlar woven in for additional protection during the games. That's where it comes in. Charlie Baker and Gary Bettman, as commissioners of your leagues and school, it's on you to keep the players safe. Marty Walsh, as head of the NHLPA, you need to be better. You've been taken to the cleaners in every single negotiation you've ever taken part in. For once, don't be a puppet of the league. Stand up for those who you are supposed to protect. Make the game safer. Hopefully, we can all move past this awful situation. My thoughts and prayers go out to the family of Adam Johnson. And most importantly, rest easy, Adam. What a life you lived.
All right, my final take, I'm going to speak from the heart here. Load management in the NBA is very, very, very wrong and needs to be taken care of. Adam Silver did implement a new policy this year to fix that. It targets a lot of the all-stars, which is very good because those are the ones it needs to be targeted to. It's going to target a lot of the players over 35, specifically the LeBrons, the Chris Pauls, etc. And, you know, there's two reasons I really have. One, play for the fans. The fans pay, they save the money, they go to your games. You need to be there to play. You don't need to be sitting out because you're worried about an injury that may or may not happen, 5 weeks down the line. Also, the millions go into this. I just think that you need to move on. I think you need to sit there and play through it, and, I'm just frustrated by it.
It's a bad scene in Pittsburgh right now. The Steelers have a ton of question marks right now. The Penguins have struggled, and Pitt football is horrendous. So, do you want some optimism in the city of Pittsburgh? Well, guess what? Pitt basketball is back, and they unofficially begin their season tonight with an exhibition game. Now, why is there optimism in the city of Oakland? Blake Hinson is back, and he averaged 15 points and 6 rebounds per game. The big three of Federico and the two Diaz-Graham twins are back, and they have some really nice backcourt play to wrap up this amazing team that I think they're going to have this year. That's all for Sports Talk in the Burgh.